Hey everyone, we're going to go over Bitcoin today and discuss whether we should be waiting or buying at these key levels, as I guarantee a lot of you are feeling a lot of FOMO and panicking to buy Bitcoin because you fear that you've missed out on the bottom and you're scared that you're not going to get another chance to buy back in. Trading crypto for about 7 years, and I've seen these moves countless times over and over again, and when you are typically feeling FOMO, it is usually one of the worst times to buy. So stay calm, be patient, and let me mark out the key levels for you and show you the different scenarios for what you should be looking out for at these current price levels moving into this week. If that sounds good to you, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, as I'll be putting out more content this week. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. Bitcoin has seen a massive surge to the upside, and this has resulted in Bitcoin flipping a lot of the indicators bullish, and for the first time reclaiming one of the ranges it has broke down from and really giving us a really good chance to flip horizontal resistance as support. Now, Bitcoin has managed to have an impulsive move and close very strongly back into the range that it's broken down from, which is the first time that it has done that in this bear market, and many of the indicators have flipped bullish. And because of the nature of this move and how impulsive it is and how we have not yet exactly sold off, it means that we are likely to see some sort of continuation to the upside, and this final move is not quite done yet. Even the short-term indicators are showing us that we're pretty overstretched. The daily 21 moving average has been broken extremely impulsively and is going to be curling up at around 18.3 to about 19.3 in the coming days. So we've got a chance to basically get support straight off of that level. So we can mark this level as a key area of support at about 19k to about 18.3k. And also on the 21-week EMA, we have broke and closed impulsively above this. So I am expecting this to be retested at some point, or to at least hold above this level before we see any continuation to the upside. And if we wanted to see some support at this level, then we're looking at about 19.3, 19.5k level. We are most likely to come down to this 20k level, in my opinion, and I think that this is the shallowest that Bitcoin should go before we move higher. And if we see support here at $20,000, okay, which is again not only a round number, but it's a flip of this horizontal resistance, which is now support. If we see support here and we take out this high, which is nearly certainly going to mean a takeout of this FTX high, then that means that we can move higher. So for me, the most likely scenario is going to be 20k, or it's going to be some of these Fibonacci targets down here at about 19.3, or as low as 18.3, and then a move higher, in my opinion, because of the nature of this move. It would also make sense to me that at this key order block, which we have not broken yet, that we should see some sort of retracement of at least 5 to 7%, considering that we've moved up about 30% in such a short space of time. So if we move here, okay, or bounce down to this order block, which we broke out from, and basically confirm that as support, then, you know, like I said, that is a very viable setup for us to move a lot higher. And if we just take a look at Bitcoin on the CME chart as well, I think that as we've got this big gap in here in price, you know, most gaps tend to get filled. And if we are going to continue and try to surge towards this 28k or possibly even 36k, you know, at some point later in the year, you know, these significant gaps nearly always get filled. So I want you to be aware of that and not necessarily FOMO into Bitcoin at the minute, and just maybe have this plan laid out. So I think Bitcoin is looking good, and with an impulse like this, it does give us options and room to basically come down and correct to the downside in time and in price, and we can still stay very bullish up until about 18.3. If we start to lose 18.3 and we start to close down here back in the range, and this ends up being some sort of fake out and we get a sharp correction, then you know that we're probably going to retake out these 15.5k lows and probably move down into the order blocks below us at about 14k to 13k. So whilst that would be my primary count for the short term, what I think is the least likely option, at least in the immediate short term, is probably going to be some sort of move straight into this level and break the FTX high. I think that we're likely going to cool off first and at least challenge that gap. And the 12-hour RSI is the highest that it has ever been in its entire history. That doesn't mean that we can't move higher, but it does mean that we're very overextended in the short term. So like I said, I'd mark out these levels first before you know, attempting to buy Bitcoin and FOMO in at these prices, which is never a good idea and is a really bad trading decision from a risk reward perspective. So long as Bitcoin remains below this FTX high and we have not broken above this order block, then we do not have confirmation that we are likely to move any higher. So that's where we want to be cautious and buying on the pullbacks. Okay, the only thing that I would say is that when something moves this impulsively and the way that Bitcoin can move, just be aware that some of these retracements might be quite shallow and they might only move to maybe 20k, 19.3k, and you'll have to buy at a fairly high price. But if you are following, you know, what we've been saying for the entire last 5 months, you wouldn't be FOMOing in now. And we said anything below 20k is going to be a great buy for the long term, most likely, because Q4 is most likely going to be the bottom according to 4-year cycle theory. And I marked this out in my previous videos. So if you want to know exactly what I was thinking, go back to my old videos, have a look at what I was saying at these levels and how you should be playing it. And then you wouldn't be FOMOing into prices now if you were doing that. And as Bitcoin is so highly correlated to the DXY, I do want you to be aware of this, because as you can see here, we've hit a really significant order block over here, which should be support for the DXY. And I would expect us to have at least a snapback to about 103 at the very least. And if we get that move to 103, maybe that corresponds with a move back down for Bitcoin to at least retest some of those lower short-term levels. But like I said, like, you know, the DXY has seen a massive move down. We've been downtrending, and maybe we basically overextend this downward channel and then we start to close back in it. And if that happens, that can put a lot more pressure on Bitcoin. So just be aware here of buying Bitcoin at these elevated prices in the short term. However, if we do see some sort of weakness at these levels and we're only able to make it back to this horizontal resistance level at about 103.5, and then we just loiter around here and then we start to fall into a new floor, that opens up the possibility to basically go to about a $100 DXY, which is going to likely give Bitcoin more relief and allow us to probably push into the mid-20s and possibly even 30k levels. But until that happens, this is support until it's lost. So just be aware of that on the DXY. And just to be clear, I think that Bitcoin does have a good shot of bottoming, as we've seen such an impulsive candle. All of the bad news was here. And if you think about what that bad news was, what was that bad news? The bad news was basically saying to everyone, get your money off the exchanges and do not buy the bottom, right? Because everyone was just shit scared to have all their money on exchanges. And remember, by definition, the bottom is meant to be the bottom, okay? No one buys the bottom because everyone just thinks it is going to fall further. And that's exactly what was happening in these regions. So now that we've seen this impulsive candle and the way that things are playing out, like I said, things are looking pretty positive. But if we do break down below 15.5, okay, which I see as a less likely scenario at the minute, okay, because everyone was waiting for lower prices, then just be aware that the next order block is very clearly here at about 14k. But, you know, so long as we stay above these and we hang around and we hold 18.3k, which is the real level, okay, remember the order block here is about 18.3 as well, then I think that we're good. So Bitcoin can fall easily another like 5-10% and still be looking healthy in continuation of this uptrend. So if you got some value from that video, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. No need to FOMO into Bitcoin. Be pragmatic, mark out the key levels above and below us, and then wait for those levels to be hit. No need to FOMO in at these prices. You're probably going to get an opportunity at some point. Until the next video, I'll catch you in the next one. Like, subscribe if you have not already.